I'm sure he's probably listening now, and it's probably going to come as quite a shock to him. I'm not going to stay quiet. He has been indirectly threatening me through my friends and people that I work with. They've informed me that he said that if I ever talked about anything he did, he would try to create a smear campaign against me in retaliation.
There is a massive story currently happening within the streaming space that we must go over. Now, it involves a relationship gone wrong, a relationship gone bad of some of the biggest streamers on the platform. One goes by the name of Emaru, she's female, and the other one, who's now her ex-boyfriend, goes by the name of Ms. Kiff. And now, after Ms. Kiff has unleashed a defamation lawsuit, it now includes one of the top streamers within the world who goes by the name of Asmongold. Now, I want to get directly into this lawsuit, but before I do, I know much of you guys don't know, may not know who these people are, so I'm going to give you a brief summary of what happened. The TLDR is that Ms. Kiff was secretly dating Emaru. Now, it was kept a secret because they were involved in an organization by the name of OTK, which stands for One True King. They're an organization of streamers that work together under contract to make even more money. Now, when I say make more money, I mean a lot more money, and we'll get into some of these amounts within the defamation lawsuit. But according to Ms. Kiff, they kept the relationship a secret because of the reporting structure. And all good until about a week ago, where Emaru took to her own platform over on Twitch to talk about intimidation, threats, and alleged abuse from Ms. Kiff.
I'm sure he's probably listening now, and it's probably going to come as quite a shock to him. I'm not going to stay quiet. He has been indirectly threatening me through my friends and people that I work with. They've informed me that he said that if I ever talked about anything he did, he would try to create a smear campaign against me in retaliation.
Now, Emaru's video was about an hour long in length, and most of it she was reading from something, so it was a prepared statement, and she provided many receipts into her claims, into this guy's behavior. Now, Ms. Kiff has responded to all of these claims, and we'll get in there into a quick second. But after I saw the hour video, I concluded that this guy definitely, without a doubt, has some damn issues. One of her claims is he would get butthurt if she was doing better than him or had more active streaming numbers while live streaming. And one of his ways to retaliate was to slam doors and make a lot of noise to disrupt her while she was streaming.
Oh, this is a
context. Emaru exposed how Ms. Kiff was abusive and controlling her every move during their relationship. Well, people literally found the exact moment on stream she was talking about.
And then I check my Discord messages, and he's messaging me, I'm gonna kill myself. Basically, he was upset because I had higher viewership than him.
That's the proof right there. So he notices it right there.
All right, chat. I'll see you guys later. Probably tonight, if not tomorrow.
Quit stream.
What does unofficial misraid mean?
Basically, Ms. Kiff ended his stream because he had lower viewership, and his chatters joined Emaru's stream, while he was messaging her that he wanted to zap himself.
messaging her while she's live.
All acting. Like we haven't murdered. Like we haven't pillaged.
You hear it? You see her trying to keep it together. He's slamming the door.
Go to the restroom real quick.
I'm stuck in here? Okay.
So just scared, yeah.
I actually downloaded her VOD and confirmed how she left for 20 minutes, then came back completely overwhelmed because that schizo was spamming her, saying he wanted to kill himself while punching her door, all because she had higher viewership.
But alright, yeah, I'm gonna log out for now, but I'll probably come back later.
This is when she stopped.
And if not, tomorrow my normal time.
Which she didn't do. Yeah, I actually kept going back and forth, slamming the door because you didn't get big enough for that. Yeah. Man.
Like we haven't pillaged.
Threatening violence on oneself just because your girl is outperforming you is absolutely insane. Slamming your door audibly so that she and her 30,000 plus people that are watching her can hear it is just the exponential icing on the cake. Now, many of her claims into his behavior is actually public, and a lot of people have gone back into her streaming history to see all of these things where they had happened. Now, after Emaru went public with all of these claims of harassment and intimidation, and also what seems as though stalking because he wouldn't leave her alone after they broke up, Ms. Kiff then explains his reasoning of why he was so aggressive with her.
I'm ashamed that the situations got so bad. But Emmy was also violent. She would throw clothes or plushies at me, and I punched holes in the walls or slammed doors in aggression. I one time did say I was going to kill myself during an argument, but Emmy was also violent. She would throw clothes or plushies at me.
I've never seen Emaru so happy. Good job failing, Ms.
Needless to say, his explanation didn't go over too well with the majority of the streaming community, and there were also additional clips that surfaced of him being toxic in previous relationships as well.
She said no.
Maya unimpressed. That's what that was.
2 Starbucks bags of Starbucks I got you over the past 2 days.
Oh my god.
Now, all of this brings us to today, where Mizkif has filed a defamation lawsuit. Some are calling it a slap lawsuit, but he has filed this lawsuit not only on Emaru, Zach's girl, but then also on Asmongold, who you'll see here named as Zach. Legal Mindset writes, Mizkif is going to lose this lawsuit, so hilariously, I will need to supersize my popcorn for this one. He has opened himself up to complete reputation destruction while suffering the pain of discovery and legal fees. Been traveling, but will review on my next stream.
Mizkif is suing Emaru, but not only that, he's also suing Asmongold and 2 other companies. Now, when Mizkif said he was going demon mode, I think he was talking about something a bit different, but this now kind of makes sense for why he'd been silent for the last week here. We've got the case, so we'll be going over some of the information, also, what he's suing them over. To start things off, if you guys are curious and want to read along with me, I'm going to leave a link to this post from Livestream Fails as the top link in the description below. You can see here, this is headlined, Top Twitch Streamer Files Defamation Lawsuit Against Fellow Streamers. And this comes from kxan.com. One of the biggest names on Twitch is taking legal action against 2 other high-profile streamers and several gaming companies. Matthew Renato, known to millions online as Mizkif, has filed a lawsuit in federal court against Emily Beth Shunk, known online as Emaru, Zach Hoyt, known online as Asmongold, and 3 companies, OTK Media Inc., Mythic Talent Management Inc., and King Gaming Labs Inc. And then, of course, top comment, the important bit that we're going to be going over is the whole case here, main doc, and then there is some interesting information also, which is OTK's letter, which OTK was a company that Mizkif was a part of. This is them sending a letter to Mizkif concerning his behavior that had come out in regard to what Emaru had posted, and Mizkif's stream following up afterward.
Quick emergency meeting. I was recently searching for my name online and found way too much personal information, which brought me down this weird rabbit hole of how that could have happened, and found out that there's companies out there called data brokers that will sell your data to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And it's a nasty, disgusting feeling knowing that there's bad actors out there selling my information, selling your information for profit. But that's why I'm recommending today's sponsor, Aura. Now, I use Aura to automatically remove my information from these sites and keep my information off, but they do other things as well, such as bank fraud and identity theft alerts, VPN access. But guys, utilize my link down in the description box down below for a 14-day trial. At least see if you've been compromised. Privacy is king in this day and age, and you should know if your information is out there. So again, utilize my link, aura.com/MTR, in the description box down below to try 2 weeks free. That's way more than enough time to see if your personal data has been exposed. Go now.
So this is the case itself. This is the court documents that we have access to here. This is kind of the introduction for Mizkif, what he's been doing, his YouTube success, his streaming success, all of that good stuff. But as we go through this, number 15 is where we start with the, accusations, that kind of thing. Through the acts and omissions described below, defendants Shunk, Hoyt, and OTK have, acting in concert, wrongfully and baselessly accused Renato of serious criminal activity for no purpose other than to harm him, his reputation, and his business, and arrest from him control of the companies that he helped build. Renato and defendant Shunk began dating in 2022. The relationship was not easy on either side. They would routinely face harassment from Shunk's followers, some of whom were stalking Shunk. They got into arguments regularly, and I'm just going to say Emaru at this point, and Emaru threatened to kill herself in many of these arguments. Emaru would dress and behave in ways that Renato thought made her unsafe in light of the ongoing stalking from some of her followers. And then this is more at the end of the relationship. Emaru expressed her desire to marry Renato Renato. We heard that from Ms. Kiff's claims as well. But then they address her statement. On October 24th, 2025, Emaru hosted a live stream on Twitch. On the live stream, she lied and baselessly accused Renato of psychological and domestic abuse, stalking and harassment, sexual assault, and threats of blackmail. These slanderous accusations were made live before an audience of tens of thousands and have since been viewed millions of times across various platforms. In the same live stream, Emaru gives accounts of their relationship that clearly do not support the allegations she levied. For example, in her own description of the purported sexual assault, Emaru states she and Renato were kissing, he tried to initiate intercourse, she made clear she did not want to, and he stopped, respecting the line that she had drawn. Nonetheless, she continued to defame Renato and portray him as a perpetrator of sexual assault in a video she knew full well would be viewed by millions. That very same day, OTK sent Renato a letter purporting to terminate his interest in the company. OTK claimed it was entitled to do so based on the nature of Emaru's allegations. This letter asserted a number of purported breaches of the owner's agreement. No such breaches occurred. Nonetheless, OTK asserted that it was reclaiming Renato's 1.1 million shares of OTK without payment. This letter further asserted Renato owed amounts in excess of $600,000 to Mythic for management fees relating to purported breaches that did not occur. Through OTK, Mythic demanded repayment of these allegedly owed fees. Further, the letter falsely asserted Renato violated his agreement with King, purported to reclaim Renato's 93,000 shares of stock in King, and demanding payment of $296,401.92 as a result of purported breaches that, again, did not occur. Mythic, King, and OTK made no serious investigation or inquiry into the basis for or truth of Emaru's allegations before repudiating their agreements with plaintiffs. Mythic, King, and OTK did not even ask Renato for comment or any information in his possession disproving the allegation. Instead, a few days after Emaru's defamatory livestream, OTK, perpetuating the defamation, put out a statement on X, formerly known as Twitter, that it fully supports its co-owner and sister Emaru and ... stands by her side and admires her strength in coming forward and sharing her story. In this statement, OTK falsely claimed it had terminated its relationship with Renato some time ago for reasons unrelated to the recent events. And then in regard to Asmongold's role in here, Asmongold, or Hoytier, who streams under the handle Asmongold, is part owner of OTK. Since Emaru's livestream, Asmon has continuously defamed Renato on a near daily basis. He has claimed inter alia, among other things. This dude hired a fucking dork to defend him in court. Okay, dude. He has claimed, among other things, Renato should be in jail, claimed he was abusing and manipulating others, hurting other people, and becoming an aggressor. They point at direct instances of this, but it's very clear they're talking about defamation here. Another big point of this, and this has to do with why they're suing the companies, is breach of contract.
Before they get into that, what's interesting about all of this is that there was somewhat a similar situation that happened back in 2022 where another OTK member at the time, who went by the name of Rich Campbell, received allegations of assault from some other Twitch streamer, specifically claiming that he R-worded her. And I remembered he immediately resigned from OTK, and I remember Asmongold on his stream not wanting to address it, but just saying that he was kicked out from the company. And he largely disappeared from the internet after that. And inevitably, he filed a defamation lawsuit against the girl, which actually concluded back in August of 2025. And the accuser dropped this tweet: "I have decided to dismiss my lawsuit against Rich Campbell. No payment was offered by either of us to the other. I want to thank everybody for their support over this difficult period, and I wish him well in his future endeavors." Now, people can dismiss lawsuits for a bunch of goddamn reasons, and I am not in their court records. I just think that it is incredible that this man's career was effectively ruined for a bunch of years, and you wish him well in the future. Back in 2022, it was way more of a hashtag believe all women society, right? Where the man upon allegation was thought to be guilty without a jury, without a trial, right? And this is actually the same year of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. Now, I'm bringing all of this up just to say that this is interesting, not that this has anything to do with Ms. Kiff's defamation case. Ms. Kiff, in my opinion, obviously has some damn issues. Could it be that some issues were prevalent and this organization formed an alliance to get him ousted and to take his shares? I think that's what his lawyer is trying to set up.
They're claiming that these people saying that he breached contract and in turn cutting him out of the companies, that in it of itself is a breach of contract. Essentially a big no you. You breached contract, so suck it. Take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I'm not a fucking lawyer. This seems to be what other people are garnering from it, but I'm sure there's going to be some lawyers going over this, so we'll actually have a bit better of an understanding of exactly what they're going after each other with. But then we see here, so that was count 1, count 2, defamation, and that's going against Emeru and Asmongold. So he's suing both of them for defamation. Now for count 3 here, declaratory judgment. From my very minimal Google research, my understanding is essentially they're looking for like an actual, like a judgment on who breached what. Like, is it actually Mizkif breaching these contracts like OTK, Mythic, and King have pointed out? Or is it the other way around that in turn, these companies actually breached contract, not Mizkif? This third count is just demanding action from the court, being like, we want to have a verdict on who did what. And if I'm right about that, it kind of makes sense where they're saying an actual controversy exists between plaintiffs, OTK, Mythic, and King concerning the purported breaches that defendants allege plaintiffs committed. So it's like there is an actual disagreement here that we do need to sort out in regard to the breach of contract. And in terms of damages and what they're seeking, we do not have that information yet. There's no like direct numbers that are associated. Also, interestingly enough, here in damages, reputational harm, loss of business goodwill, loss of earnings, loss of future earning potential, emotional distress, and mental anguish. Now, this was something that was anticipated by Emeru. She thought it would be good for the public to, have discovery happen so that they could see what ends up coming out. And in tandem with that, I am very interested to see what ends up coming out in discovery if this continues down the path that, court cases usually take. But that leads us to talking about that letter that OTK had sent to Mizkif. Here is that letter. This is coming from OTK. Dear Matt, on or about November 6, 2023, OTK Media Inc. issued you its first notice of termination and repurchase from OTK, the first notice. As described therein, the first notice was issued as a result of your material breach of your owner's agreement between you, OTK, and its company affiliates dated October 20th of 2022. Now, this seems to be directly in reference, as they're pointing out here, talking about the original 2022 allegations that went Mizkif's way. So maybe this is what they are referencing, that this is when they had cut ties with Mizkif. But they follow up, and again, this letter had come October 24th, so this is after Emeru's, release of information. OTK has now learned that you have furthered your course of misconduct involving violence, threats, disparaging remarks, and blatant disregard for OTK and its company affiliates, collectively the company, including without limitation King Gaming Labs Inc., KGL, and Mythic Talent Management Inc., Mythic. As a result, the company must take additional actions to address your misconduct and ultimately terminate any and all relationships between you and the company. As fully set forth below, your continued pattern of misconduct and breach of the owner's agreement have caused OTK, KGL, and Mythic to terminate their respective agreements with you and pursue claims against you. And then they make mention to some of the claims that Emeru had put out in her statement, talking about how she was threatened, or her employee was told that he would go nuclear if they had given any information, the blackmail part of it. As recently as Saturday, October 18th, 2025 at TwitchCon in San Diego, California, you made threatening remarks directed at Emily Shunk, PKA Emeru, an OTK owner, even after learning that she was the victim of a sexually motivated assault during a meet and greet. Upon information and belief, your threats to Emeru were made through individuals adjacent to both OTK and Emeru's personal business, and they pertain to potential allegations against you by Emeru of an exceedingly sensitive nature. Upon learning of the potential allegations, you threatened personal and professional harm to Emeru in an effort to silence her from publicizing her allegations against you. While OTK is not involved in nor aware of the content of such personal matter that you or Emeru may have with each other, OTK will not tolerate threats or misconduct by you towards members of the OTK community. The nature of Emeru's allegations, in tandem with your hostile response to them, i.e. the threats, represent only the latest but yet some of the most egregious instances of your misconduct in violation of your owner's agreement. And then they point out that he said some other pretty nasty things. In addition, on other recent occasions, you made him publish disparaging remarks about OTK and its talent on social media in contravention of the terms of the owner's agreement and its associated negotiated social media policy, including but not limited to the following statements. Fuck streamers, fuck all of them, fuck everybody, fuck FaZe Clan, fuck the fourth floor, fuck OTK, fuck everybody. I'm just going to start being a solo streamer. I never needed anybody, they needed me. OTK failed miserably. Nobody wanted to buy it. It didn't make sense for anyone to ever purchase OTK or to run and operate OTK, so now OTK is very small. Now they go on to further talk about some other breaches of contract. Now this one doesn't have to do with like the defamation or anything, but with violating exclusivity requirements with their talent management representation agreement with Mythic. Now I've been an acting coach for a bit. I did some modeling work a couple of years ago. Essentially, like exclusivity agreements, it's just like you're only represented by us and nobody else. Based on what I'm reading here, it sounds like he was being represented by another agency or another, talent management group, and that ends up breaching a contract of exclusivity. That's essentially the most important bits of that letter, but they were essentially saying like, yeah, you've been kind of an asshat about this entire thing, and also you're breaching contracts. Now they're charging him in regard to that $600,000. Now in regard to the fact that OTK made reference to that 2022, like the allegations that were made against Mizkif and the fact that they were aware of that, and that's when they kind of started these talks. Some other Redditors, so again, take it with a grain of salt, were speculating, yeah, that's a key piece of evidence because it'll show that OTK's decision was not a spur of the moment decision. And in addition to Emmy's claims, the fact he broke Mythic's agreement, along with anything else they might have on him, shows that he really did not give a flying fuck about the org and his duty as a co-owner. Yeah, it's kind of insane that you would do a breach of contract like that as a co-owner of one of these organizations or like the company OTK. Just really shows a lack of, giving a shit at all about the well-being of the company. Not to say from like a moral perspective, just more so looking at it in the eyes of how people are going to trust your decision making and that you were caring about the company's interests when it comes to like the breach of contract.
Okay, let me pause the video right here. Listen, I'll leave a link to this video down in the description box down below. I think this guy did a fantastic job in summarizing at least this point of the defamation lawsuit. One of the major catalysts amongst all this, I guess, if you don't count his alleged behavior, and again, it's, some of it's alleged and some of it is, documented. And then a lot of it he actually admitted on his sort of response stream, was that he was shitting where he was eating. He involved himself in a relationship with someone that was also a part of this major multi-million-dollar organization. I tell you guys so often not to mix business with pleasure whatsoever, because, something like this could be a reality. Now, a lot of people are debating where the case kind of goes from here. I think the response from Asmongold as well as Emaru, I don't know if they're going to lawyer up together, but there probably should be an anti-slap motion to dismiss all of this, and that will cause Mizkif and his lawyer camp to produce some hard evidence into the claims. And it remains to be seen whether or not he'll have any of this, because outside of the things that Emaru called out and was documented, her statements of how she felt in a situation, right? We already saw that there was claims of like what could be thought of as assault, but at the time that she said she was uncomfortable, he just got up and just left the room. So that's not really assault. That's an attempt. And she said no. And then instead of comforting her, he just walked outside the room. But it was statements like that, which was kind of in the gray area. And then Asmongold actually piling on top of that, which then led to this defamation. Asmon's statements on top of that and content that he's edited together is opinions as well, because for many of it, he wasn't there. He wasn't actually in the room with them. But I think above all of this, right, if there's a hit of an anti-slap suit, I think what's going to be the evidence that is going to cast the most amount of doubt, and I would say it would be the follow-up, the response stream that Mizkif did in response to all of this, because he admitted to punching walls, he admitted to throwing things somewhere in and around that some of those things might have actually hit her. He admitted to being a horrible person, a horrible boyfriend, all of these different things that he already admitted to. So all of those things are going to undermine the defamation case. I mean, they have the statements of him saying bad things against the organization that he was once a part of, right? Like, they have all of this information. For an organization to want to fire somebody for saying something negative publicly about the organization, I mean, I'm sure that's in the owner's agreement. And above all, and actually Legal Mindset said this before we started to get into the video, is that discovery is a bitch. It's a nightmare, all right? To go through all of the Discord messages, all of the text messages, right, all of the publicly available statements. There's going to be a lot here, and I'm sure that there's a lot that Emaru probably didn't share on stream that she has access to. And there might be other things that OTK has, or even things that Asmongold has that just wasn't publicly shared. But it seems as though the OTK, it seems like they thought that he was going to eventually hit them with a lawsuit. So it all might be chess at the end of the day and not just checkers. Nevertheless, I'm going to try as much as what I can to keep up with this if you guys are interested. But I do think unless there's major developments within this, I think all of this doesn't reflect well onto Mizkif. And if this continues on going forth, then he's probably going to end up having to pay the defendants within this case. All right, guys. That's been the video. Let me know what you think up in the comment box down below. Do you think he's innocent? Do you think he's guilty? Do you think the defamation lawsuit's going to go through? What do you think Asmongold's response going to be to this? What do you think Emaru's response is going to be to this? I'd love to know what you guys think. Leave me down in the comment box. Let's continue to talk about these situations, and I'll see you soon. Until next time, peace.
So without further ado, MTR, cut through the BS like we in charge. No cap with the rappers like steel bars. I'm packing and rapping like here we are. Here we are. Mediocre tutorial reviews. Like, comment, share my views. Come up and I paid my dues. Big step in my black way shoes. MTR, he break it down, yeah, it's MTR. Check out the sound with his MTR. No one put it down like it's MTR.